Okay, so that actual term, anti-Semite was actually coined in 1879 by a German name of William Marr, and it was used to designate anti-Jewish propaganda in Central Europe. Anti-Semitism, brothers and sisters, function much like the word racism functions, meaning it's to be utilized in the same way. So what do I mean? It's to be utilized like racism is utilized by people of power. Meaning what? If you have no power, then your anti-Semitic rhetoric have no weight. Understand what I'm saying? If you don't have power, military power, financial power, or if you're not a person of means or a company of means, or if you don't have a structure that can hinder or delay or hurt someone, either individually or a group of people, then your anti-Semitic rhetoric has no weight to it. So in that way, it functions much like racism functions. See, people can be prejudiced, but not everyone can be racist. When you are racist, that means you have power. You have power to deny people opportunity, places they can live, places they can work, places they can go, venues they can live in or participate in. Power. When you don't have power, it's only called prejudice. I can be prejudiced, but that don't mean I have control. I can say I don't like somebody because of their ethnicity, but that doesn't mean I have control. That's not racism. Racism is about power and control. And anti-Semitism acts like racism. You either have to have power or you have to have control. Or else you're just prejudiced. And everybody can be that. Let me share a video with you all. Hopefully we get this correct.
Foreign policy with Israel. The vote capped a week of intense debate among congressional Democrats about anti-Semitism and U.S. policy on Israel. We're joined now by three guests. In Tel Aviv, Gideon Levy, longtime Israeli journalist, Haaretz columnist, member of the newspaper's editorial board. His latest piece headlined, "Keep It Up, Ilhan Omar." He's also the author of The Punishment of Gaza. Phyllis Bennis is with us in Washington, fellow at the Institute for Policy Studies, serves on the National Board of Jewish Voice for Peace. Her recent piece for In These Times headlined, "Why False Accusations of Anti-Semitism Against Ilhan Omar Are So Harmful." And Remy Kanazi is with us here in New York, a Palestinian-American poet and activist, the author of a collection of poetry, Before the Next Bomb Drops, Rising Up from Brooklyn to Palestine. We welcome you all to Democracy Now! Let's go to Tel Aviv first. Gideon Levy, your response to the debate and the final passage of the resolution on Thursday in the House of Representatives.
It's wonderful that the House deals with anti-Semitism. It's wonderful that the House condemns anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism should be condemned, but the context is very suspicious and very troubling. Let me be very frank with you, Amy. We have to say the truth. The Israeli lobby, the Jewish lobby are by far too strong and too aggressive. It's not good for the Jewish community. It's not good for Israel. What is happening now is that some kind of fresh air, some kind of new voices are emerging from Capitol Hill, raising legitimate questions about Israel, about America's foreign policy toward Israel, and about the Israeli lobby in the States. Those are very legitimate questions, and it is more than needed to raise them. But the Israeli propaganda and the Jewish propaganda in recent years made it as a systematic method. Whenever anybody dares to raise questions or to criticize Israel, he is immediately and automatically labeled as anti-Semite, and then he has to shut his mouth, because after this, what can he say? This vicious circle should be broken, and I really hope that great politicians like Mrs. Omar and others will be courageous enough to stand in front of those accusations and to say, yes, it is legitimate to criticize Israel. Yes, it is legitimate to raise questions, and this does not mean that we are anti-Semites. We are not ready to play this game anymore in which they shut our mouths with those accusations, which in most of the cases are hollow.
Did you hear that? Did everyone hear that? Now this is a Israeli reporter that's saying this. He's saying it's not right that you should shut your mouth because of an accusation and be labeled anti-Semitic. It's not right. All right. But we know this is what they do. We know this is what they do. All right, let's get Jeremiah 16 and 19. Jeremiah 16 and 19. And it reads, "O Yah, my strength and my power and my fortress and my refuge in the day of my affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit." So surely our fathers have inherited lies. This is a part of the mindset of those Gentiles or those Edomites that claim that we are being anti-Semitic just by telling the truth. Just by telling the truth. So some topics make people feel uncomfortable. But these conversations got to be had. Because our enemies are found to be liars, brothers and sisters. Our enemies are found to be liars. Let me get another scripture, Deuteronomy 33 and 29. And it reads, "Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Almighty, and shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency. And watch this, and thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places." This is where we headed. This is where we headed, brothers and sisters. Our enemies are going to be found liars. But how is that going to happen? How is that going to take place? It's going to take place by seeking the Most High. Seeking the Most High, getting into this word, understanding who we are. That's right. So, the occasion of anti-Semitism, the accusation of anti-Semitism, brothers and sisters, has everything to do with power. I want y'all to understand that. The very accusation, and we're seeing this with Kyrie Irving and others, the very accusation of anti-Semitism has everything to do with power. Has nothing to do with your feelings, but everything to do with power. If you have control, then you have the ability to say he or she is anti-Semite, and we have to cancel that person, that person's contract, that person's business. You have to understand what power is. The power to cancel somebody's livelihood, to stop them, because the powers that be call you, the real Jew, are anti-Semite for simply saying I'm the real Jew. Let me get let's go to First Maccabees 8:4.
Have you heard?
Oh yeah, you can be heard. First Maccabees 8:4.
Book of First Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 4.
Check this out. Just take me to First Maccabees 1. We'll start at verse 1. Start at verse 1.
First Maccabees, chapter 8, verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them unto tribute, and what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which was there, that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost parts of the earth, till they had discomfited them and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year.
Where you at? What verse you on?
That was verse 4.
Read verse 4 again.
And that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost parts of the earth, till they had discomfited them and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year.
Every year there was a great overthrow. So at the beginning of verse 4 it says, and that their policy, and their policy, and that their policy, brothers and sisters, their policy. All right, what is their policy? What is their policy? Their laws is their policy. Hold on, let me share this with you. Let me share this with you. This is their laws, for instance, but their laws have to be carried out by something else. Let's check this out. Let's check it out. Their laws have to be carried out by something else. Their laws have to be carried out by their media. By their media. There we go. Sometimes I have to bring it up to me because sometimes I can see it more clearly. Now, this right here was brought out in the 2013. It's been modified somewhat, but it's primarily saying you have Universal. This is their media. They control the media. The Universal Studios, the 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News, CNN News, Columbia Pictures, DreamWorks, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, The Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon Kids, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, the New York Times, Google, Reuters, The Atlantic, Disney, ABC Kids Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yuhu, Marvel, Hulu, and on and on and on, HBO, on and on and on and on. Those names that you see in red, like I said, this is modified a little bit because you have Rupert Murdoch here as the owner, in green, but it should be red because Rupert Murdoch is a so-called Jew. They own the media, the presidents, the CEOs, the founders, the owners, the vice presidents, the chairmen. They control the narrative. They control through their policies. This is how they control. So all the nastiness and filth you see on television, man-on-man action and woman-on-woman action, and children's and animations, that talks real nasty. It's animation. It comes on Netflix. It's one of the nastiest things you ever seen in your life. I think it's called a large mouth or big mouth or something like that. They control the minds of the people through their policy. This is the... All right. Let's get 2nd Maccabees. 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6. Because the tactics, brothers and sisters, they don't change. The tactics don't change. Our forefathers went through some similar things that we go through now. Nothing new under the sun.
2nd Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6.
Go on.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days, fast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So Kyrie Irving can't say that he was a Jew. He can't say that. Because through their media, we want to see a public lynching. Through their media and the policies that they set up, the laws that they set up, and the media that they set up, they want to put out a narrative that he's anti-Semitic. No power, mind you, because he can't even come back to work unless he do six things that they want him to do. You ought to pay attention to what's going on. Drop down to verse 9, Cap.
Verse 9. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
This is the present misery right here. This is the present misery right here. This is the real anti-Semitism right here. Don't you call yourself a Hebrew. You call yourself a Jew. Don't call yourself an Israelite. But there's consequences behind those actions. This is the real anti-Semitic rhetoric right here with power to back up what I'm saying. Or lose your job, lose your livelihood, drop you from the contract. I seen a video today because Kanye is going through a bunch of things he's going through. I seen a video today that Kanye West is just off the chain. He's admitting to stuff you never thought he'd admit to. The man just said his mother was a sacrifice. I seen it, and some of you probably seen the video as well. But I came across that video just this morning, admitting my mom was a sacrifice, and admitting other people's children and parents and family members and things like that were sacrificed. Absolutely amazing, astounding. Let's get Revelations 2 and 9. I know we went through it last week, but we got to hit it again. Revelations 2 and 9 through let's see, yeah, just Revelations 2 and 9 right now.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not.
So we are
synagogue of Satan.
So we are rich. We are rich because everything in the scriptures pertains to the true Jew or the true Israelite. That's why the scriptures are calling us rich. What pertains to the Israelite? The adoption pertains to the Israelite. I mean, the adoption of the cross pertains to the Israelite. The glory pertains to the Israelite. The covenants pertain to the Israelite. The giving of Yah's law pertains to the Israelite. The service of the Most High Yah pertains to the Israelite, and all the promises that's contained in the scriptures pertains to the Israelite. So you can't call us anti-Semitic. It's offensive. Because anyone that calls themselves a Jew and are not, according to the scriptures, is blasphemous, sacrilegious, profane, such as the synagogue of Satan. So now, as we opened up last week with our lesson, who are or who is the synagogue of Satan? Who are they? Who are they? Is it all of Esau? Or is it a particular group? A fringe group within the nation of Esau? Let's see here. Let's go back to the Herodians. If anybody didn't miss that lesson last week, I advise you to go back, because this is kind of like following up behind the lesson from last week, the synagogue of Satan. All right. Here's an excerpt from the book the Westminster Dictionary under the name Herod. Under the name Herod. And it reads that Herod, the offspring of a hero. So Herod, the actual name, his name means the offspring of a hero. The name of several rulers over Palestine and the adjacent regions, for portions of them, 3 are mentioned in the New Testament. All right, let me share something with you now. Let me share this with you, so you can get a look at, while I'm reading this, kind of get a look at what I'm talking about here. All right, so last week, this is the map we looked at last week. This was kind of like a up-to-date kind of area. We talked about how the Herodians were all dispersed around about this area here. That's Georgia, Russia there. Georgia, this used to be the old Soviet Union here. The Caucasus Mountains are here. We're about to see that in a moment. All around this area is where they controlled, the Herodians controlled this area here as a trade route, spilled over here into the Aegean Sea. All right. This is what we want to take a look at now, though. This map, you can see the terrain a little bit better on this map. This is the Khazarian Empire. This is a later map. This is the Khazarian Empire here. This is where we just was looking at the Black Sea, where the Herodians started to settle here. And they ended up taking over this whole area here. But they were, given the time frame, because we're talking about maybe a 700-year time frame, they were in this area as well, the base of the Caucasus Mountains. Other Edomites from other Edomite families were over in this area here in the Caucasus Mountains as well. But we're going to stick to what we're talking about today, though. Excuse me. All right, let me go back to the dictionary here. So it reads, Herod, the offspring of a hero, the name of several rulers over Palestine and the adjacent regions. That's why I brought this map up. Palestine was down here where Herod ruled, but there were kings of the Herodians that lived up here. This is the adjacent area. Rome had this whole area at one time. Hungary, all of this was Rome. It's the Byzantine Empire here. Portions are mentioned in the New Testament by the name of Herod and one by the name of Agrippa. Thank you. Agrippa, Herod Herod the Great. That Herod the Great was the one who tried to kill the Messiah. He was the second son of Idunia Antipas or Antipater by his wife Cyphers, who was of the same race. Thus, neither by the fathers, watch this, we're talking about Herod the Agrippa, the second son of Antipater. Watch what, we didn't write this. This is from 1893. This is what white folks wrote, so-called white folks. This is what they wrote. Who was the same race. Thus, neither by their fathers nor the mother's side was Herod a Jew. Though the Idumeans, who had been conquered by John Hyrcanus and compelled to be circumcised and adapt Judaism, and now became nominally Jews. The word nominally means so-called or just in name only. So the powers that be and the scholars that be knew that these folk up here, you see my cursor, these folks up here were not the true Jews, but they were only calling themselves the Jews. Now, over the dispensation of time, we're talking about 1,000 years later, almost 600 years later, when they established themselves in the Khazarian kingdom, 1,000 years later, when they were dispersed into all of these regions, all of these areas. All right, we come out of that. There are two main types of so-called Caucasians, the Edomites and the Khazars. So sometimes you will hear, and I want you to understand this, sometimes you will hear other so-called white folks call Jews non-whites. And I know you all have heard this before. They were, even from Nazis and white supremacists and things like that, they'll say they hate the Jews and things like that because they'll call them non-whites. Why do they say that? Why do they say that? It's because because the so-called white Jew from the Khazarian Empire began to be dispersed and spread it out, and other white tribes begin to take on the name Jew as a religion, and it's stuck during the dispensation of time as a race. These are the same people, they just taken on a religion as a nationality. You say it again, they're all the same folk. They just took it on the religion as a nationality. Now, this is from the book. This is from the book. Again, this is written by them, not us. This is from the book, The Jews of Khazaria, by Kevin Allen Brooke. In the year 700 AD, the Khazars were officially converted to Judaism. A century later, they were crushed by incoming Slavic-speaking people. It's another so-called white race. And were scattered over Central Europe, where they were known as Jews. The Jews of Khazaria recounts the eventful history of the Turkic kingdom of Khazaria, which was located in Eastern Europe and flourished in an independent state from about 650 to 1016 AD. The Khazar people belonged to a grouping of Turks who wrote in a runic script that originated in Mongolia. I don't know how true that is, because I can't find any history to back that. But it may be true, I just don't know. The royalty of the Khazarian kingdom was descended from the Ashani Turkic dynasty in the 9th century. The Khazarian royalty and nobility, as well as a significant portion of the Khazarian Turkic population, embraced the Jewish religion. They took on the religion. After their conversion, the Khazars were ruled by a succession of Jewish kings. After their conversion, now they're calling them Jewish kings, and began to adopt hallmarks of Jewish civilization, including the Torah, and this is where you start to get a compiling of rabbinic teachings or writings called the Talmud. The Hebraic script, or they start to learn a form of Hebrew, and the observance of Jewish holidays. Under these, excuse me, understand these are Jewish men and women that are writing these books with this information in it. Most of these books and this information that I am reading to you today are written by so-called Jewish men and women. They know who they are. A lot of them do. A lot of them don't, but a lot of them do. This volume traces and developed the Khazars from their early beginning as a tribe to the decline and fall of their kingdom. It demonstrates that the Khazarians had manufacturing industries, trade routes, an organized judicial system, and a diverse population. It also examines the many migrations of the Khazar people into Hungary. This is where they were dispersed into. Hungary, Ukraine, and other areas of Europe. And the subsequent assimilation providing the most comprehensive treatment of their complex issue to date. The final chapter enumerates the Jewish communities of Eastern Europe that sprang up after the fall of Khazaria, and shows that the modern Jews from the former Russian Empire are descended from a mixture of German Jews, Czech Jews, Sephardic Jews, and Slavs, but do not descend from Khazar Jews. So what he's saying is, once they were dispersed, they began to allow, much like they do today, allow a lot of these other white folk to come into their religion, or to accept their religion and take on a Jewish nationality, much like you do today. You can become Jewish today. Same thing. The Jews of Khazaria draws upon the latest linguistic, genetic, and archaeological discoveries, the weaponry, archaeological, horticulture, fishing, burial practices, architecture, and religions of the peoples of Khazaria, and upon many findings revealed. All right, let's get Lamentations 2 and 17. Lamentations 2 and 17. Let's get Lamentations 2 and 17. Y'all pray for the elder. We've been, my household, we've been sick all week long. Y'all pray for us. Kind of feeling a little better today. All praises to the Most High. But we getting through it. Lamentations 2 and 17. You there, Cap?
Okay, I'm here. Lamentations 2 and 17. All right, Book of Lamentations, chapter 2, verse 17. The Most High have done that which he hath devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down, and he hath not pitied, and he hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee.
Mm-hmm.
He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries.
He set up the horns of thine adversaries. He hath set up the power structure of thine adversaries. Oftentimes we try to figure out what is going on. What is going on? But this is the play of the Most High. He set up that power. He set that power up to destroy that power. It's up on us, brothers and sisters, to see it in our various occupations, our various talents, our various giftings, and to steer clear of the traps of the devil. Let's get Ecclesiasticus 12 and 8. Ecclesiasticus 12 and 8.
Ecclesiasticus 12, verse 8. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity.
Do you understand this scripture here? Read verse 8 again, D. Read verse 8 again.
A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity.
Do you understand what Shaq and King Coon, what's the other King Coon name?
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. King Coon, Mr. King Coon himself. A friend cannot be known in prosperity. When the man is doing good, the man is doing well, they sing his praises. And the enemy cannot be hid in his adversity. Now the brother Kyrie is going through what he's going through. Here comes Mr. King Coon. He needs to be suspended. Don't know what's going on. They don't know. All the man did was put a link on a post. And here come Mr. King Coon, Charles Barkley. And it's sad King Coon, the other one. I can't even think of his name. I said Shaq. And a few others. It's unbelievable what our people do to tear each other down. Verse 9.
In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, but in his adversity, even a friend would depart.
Even a friend would depart. In his adversity, even a friend will depart. Verse 10.
Never trust thine enemy.
Never trust your enemy. Come on.
For like as iron rusts,
Mm-hmm.
so is his wickedness.
The Bible calls these people our enemies. And I don't care how kind they are, how nice they are. The devil won't show up. Because after all, the devil is who he is. He is the synagogue of Satan, the temple, the very house of Satan. The devil lives there in that house, right there. It's the synagogue of Satan. The devil has taken up residence in that nation. The house of Satan. There can be some seemingly the nicest people in the world willing to give you a helping hand. I told you out here on the land last year, he called me, the one so-called white fella called. We want to help you cut your field down. And they did, and he did. He came over, helped me cut it up. A few months later, he was talking about how he don't like mixed marriages. He don't like no race mixing and stuff like that. All you got to do is wait a while. It's going to show up. He don't know he was preaching to the choir because I don't like no mixing either. I was in total agreement with that devil. Your enemy will reveal himself in time. He will. So what we see working here with this word anti-Semitism, what do we see working here? For one, in terms of Brother Kyrie, we see an open castration that they trying to put on our brother. We see white supremacy working at its best. And what does it do? I'm telling you, think about it. It utilizes capitalism because it takes away your money. It cancels you, much like it did Kanye. He was a billionaire one day. He was a 400 millionaire the next in 24 hours. 24 short hours. Hundreds of millions of dollars taken away. Bankers calling them saying, we don't even want your money. Capitalism weaponized by using the trigger word anti-Semitism. That's right. You can't be anti-Semitic if you don't have no power. The real anti-Semitics are accusing folk of being anti-Semitic. No, you the real anti-Semitic. Just like I can't be a racist, I can't be anti-Semitic. I don't have the power to enforce it. I can only be prejudiced. Romans, the 3rd chapter. They weaponized this word, brothers and sisters. They weaponized it, and they used capitalism to destroy folks with it. Romans 3.
And what?
Start verse 1. Verse 1 and verses 1 and 2.
Romans 3 verses 1 and 2. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or profit is there of circumcision? Much every what? Chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Yah.
So what advantages do the Jew have? Or what profit is circumcision if it's seemingly we always getting beat down? Paul backs it up with saying, much in every way. Much in every way. Chiefly because to us is committed the oracles of Yah, the promises, the covenants, the kingdom. And we as Israelites, we have to organize ourselves and utilize our various talents as a block group to compete more effectively than we have, to create a soft landing for those of us who are under attack. We're almost done here. Let me get Ecclesiastes 4 and 9. Ecclesiastes 4 and 9.
Ecclesiastes 4 verse 9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor.
Mm-hmm.
You said 9, right?
Yeah, I did. Read on.
Okay.
9 through 10. 9 through 10. Mm-hmm.
One will lift up his fellow.
Come on.
Woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he have not another to help him up.
So that's why we need one another. You can't do this thing alone. You can't do this thing alone. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. We need each other. We need a soft landing when we're under attack. Verse 11.
Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone?
Read on.
And if one prevail against him,
Mm-hmm.
two shall withstand him.
Mm-hmm.
And the threefold cord is not quickly broken.
Not quickly broken. If you got one cord and they pulling on it, and that pressure, you can snap. But if you got three cords there, braided up together, that's a strong cord. That's a strong cord. So we have to learn to come together. We have to learn to come together. We have to stop talking about coming together and actually come together. I was on something last night. Hold that for a moment. I was on a platform last night, listening platform, and it was about 1,000 people. It was more than that. Maybe it was 2,000 or 3,000 people on this platform. And it was talking about Ronald Dalton. It was talking about the book, the movie, and all that was going on with Kyrie and things like that. And it was going it was going well. You have all these different Israelites on here and non-believers as well. It was seemingly going well. And then boom, somebody came in, one voice came in, and all of a sudden all hell broke loose. It was unbelievable, unreal what was going on. Then it was hollering, screaming, fussing and fighting, and it was over. At that point, I was done. I was out of there.
What was said?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know after the lesson. I'll let you know. But these people went ballistic. It's unbelievable. It was unreal. All right. Let's go to Psalms real quick. Psalms 83. Psalms 83. A lot of folk keep dropping in and out of the Zoom. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's on me or if it's on them. I'm not sure.
83 and what?
83. Start at verse 1, D. Start at verse 1.
Psalms 83 verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O Yah. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yah. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So
your enemies, brothers and sisters, your enemies Your enemies has a deep-seated hatred or dislike or ill will towards you. Enmity, which derives from Anglo-Saxon words meaning enemy. It implies a strong hatred. Excuse me. A strong hatred that shows itself, watch this, in attacks or aggression. Have we seen that lately? Haven't we seen the attacks of aggression lately? Haven't we seen that? Let's go, hold that. Let's get Leviticus 26 and 36. Leviticus 26 and 36.
Leviticus 26, verse 36. And upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts in the land of their enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursueth.
This is your Stephen A. What's the man's name? Deacon Keith on ESPN. What's his name? Stephen A. Smith. That's the Stephen A. Smith right there. And what's the other man name? I used to like him. Don't like him much no more either. What's his name? Shannon.
Oh yeah, Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp. Don't like him either. All of these men are coons, faint of heart. Faint of heart. They're not gonna stand with each other. They're not gonna stand with each other. Faint of heart. The sound of a shaken leaf gonna put fear in their heart. Unbelievable the way they came at Kyrie about a tweet. The way these men align themselves against him. Unreal. Let's go back to Psalms 83 and start at verse 3.
Psalms 83, verse 3. Then have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
So they have taken crafty counsel. The word crafty, have taken crafty counsel, translate into the Hebrew word haram. Haram. And that word means to be negate. They have stripped you naked, and taking crafty counsel have stripped you naked and have been cunning towards you. Crafty meaning to be cunning or to be malignant or to put into open shame. To strip you naked into open shame. This is the goal of the enemy. This is what I mean by to castrate you in front of the world, to make you, to bend you in front of the world, as much as they did to Nick Cannon. Same thing. Broke the back of the man for everyone to see. For everyone to see. We're going to make you submit. Verse 4, Psalms 83, verse 4.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Come on.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee, meaning they are joined in agreement one with another with one mind, one purpose, that is to keep power. They confederate to keep power. to keep, this is their kingdom. And they don't want to let it go. They want to keep power. But according to the scriptures, they got to let that power go. According to the scriptures. Last one, Revelations 2. Revelations 2, start at verse 25 and read on down to 27. They want to keep that power. That's why they Confederate. That's why they gonna haul one man out like they used to do in the buck breaking, and castrate him, slaughter him for all to see, and say, Negro, this could be you right here if you don't fall in line. But not according to the scriptures. We gonna take that power. Revelations 2 and start at verse 25 through 27.
Revelation 2, verses 25 through 27. But that which ye already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
We're going to rule them. We're going to give us the power, and he's going to rule them with a rod of iron. Come on.
As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers.
They're going to be broken into 1,000 pieces. Read on.
Even as I received of my Father.
Even if I received of my Father. The power I received of my Father, I'm going to give to my disciples to break the nations. To break the nations. All praises to the Most High. We're going to leave it right there. We're going to leave it right there.